the love of God, the craziness of the world. Join me weekly on the Discussions with Delinah podcast to talk about it. Let's get deep and vulnerable with many topics that will leave you thinking. Topics from joy to anxiety. Let's talk about the Word and how God loves us all and wants us to grow. I'll catch you next week on DWD. Hey everyone, back with another Discussions with Delinah. So I am recording this on Friday because I will be away this weekend and I will be watching Big Time Rush live on Sunday. So when you see this later on in the nighttime, I will be going to a Big Time Rush concert, which I am like so freaking excited for. If you know me, you know that I like grew up on Nickelodeon and Disney, and Big Time Rush was definitely one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows. And so because of that, like, I'm absolutely obsessed with them, and I've wanted to see them in concert since like 2010, 2011. So I got to see them in December of last year for Jingle Ball, because all of their like concerts were usually like in the beginning in New York and Chicago, and I was like, as much as I would love to fly to New York to go watch them, wasn't feasible. So that's why I went to Jingle Ball, and luckily I got to see like a bunch of other artists that I love, but it's not the same, you know, where they only perform 3 songs. Like, it's not the same. So I get to fully experience the Big Time Rush experience because I was a total rusher. And fingers crossed I get to be a worldwide girl. If not, it's okay. I understand, but like, that would be my dream. Anyway, enough about that. So today's Discussions with Delinah will be patience. I have balloons in the background. When I came home from Froshmosh, Sebastian surprised me with a bunch of balloons saying like, you're the best, you're number one, with the FGCU Froshmosh colors. So that's why they're in the background. But anyway, we're going to start off with Psalms 27:14. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and take heart, and wait for the Lord. Notice how it is said twice. Sometimes we want things so badly that we tend to go out and we do it ourselves, and we kind of forget that God has control over everything. So his timing may not always align with ours, and that's okay. So what does patient mean? Patience mean? If you Google it, patience means the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So in James 1:3 it says, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So sometimes God tests our faith in him through trials so that we can persevere. And the way that we go through those trials shows whether or not we have patience. And I can say, I've always said that I'm not a very patient person. And I've done a Discussions with Delinah on this, I think closer to like the beginning. I think it's now been almost 3 years of me doing Discussions with Delinah. So I think this was one of the first ones. And I had mentioned that I didn't feel like I had a lot of patience. However, everyone that I knew told me that I had so much patience, not only in like life, but with my siblings and with the people in my life. And I never really saw it until I started dating Sebastian, and he would tell me, and I'm like, nah, I'm just being good old me. And then like when you actually take a step back and you kind of think about all of the trials that you've been put through, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe I did have patience. But I'm not going to say I always have patience. I can be very impatient at times, and because of that, it can lead to a lot of extra stress that is unneeded. And so even though God tests our faith, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. Patience is not the easiest thing to do, but it's what's best for us according to the Lord. Have you ever been in a position where you grow weary or tired because what you want hasn't come? I know I can raise my hand a million times and definitely say I have. I'm still in school. I'm waiting patiently for that graduation date to come, even though it's almost here. But no, like seriously, there have been many times in my life where I'm just like, okay, so where's this at? Where's that at? Oh, okay. One example would be, for example, let's say high school seniors out there, you have to be really patient in accepting those and waiting for those acceptance letters. I applied the day that they open, August 1st. And I think I got my first acceptance in like December. So even though that was like a fairly quick acceptance compared to like my other schools that I found out, I think in like February, it's still like, you gotta wait, you gotta be patient. And so stuff like that, or waiting for that perfect relationship. And I say perfect with air quotes because nothing is perfect, but waiting for that man or woman of God that God is sending you to spend the rest of your life with. I waited, I'm trying to do the math, I forgot how old I was when I met Sebastian. I think it was 19. Yeah, I think. No, I'm not sure. I think I was 19 when I met Sebastian, but I waited 19 years for the man of God that God, wanted to send me, and that's okay because that's when God felt like I was ready for it, and that is when God knew that, okay, here you go, like this is now your time. But obviously, for 19 years, I didn't see it that way. And granted, yes, I'm counting like kid years, but you get what I mean, where I'm going with this. Um, obviously, when I was going through all of those, like heartaches and pain and trials and tribulations, I didn't see, oh, like God, like, yes, I believed, oh, God is waiting, and I haven't met him yet, and God's going to provide him to me, and blah, blah, blah. But then I also thought, okay, am I too high maintenance? Am I not good enough? Is there ever going to be someone out there who really loves me? Am I even going to get that true love? And yeah, I was young, but at that time, it didn't matter. Now, as an adult, looking back on it, it's like, okay, Delinah, you were putting yourself through heartache for no reason. But again, God gives a test when we're ready. And sometimes even when we think we're not ready, God thinks we're ready. So again, his timing is always right because he knows all. So if you've ever been in a position where you grow weary and tired because what you want hasn't come, it hasn't come because either one, it's not in God's will, and that's okay. If it's not in God's will, it's not in God's will. It's not going to come to pass. Or two, it is in God's will, but it's not God's time yet. So he knows what makes you tick. He knows what's right for your life because he knew you before you were in your mother's womb. To biblically persevere in a trial means that you have to fight for your faith over a period of time. These difficult seasons produce stronger character, and we are prepared to be patient. And not patient in the passive sense, but patient in knowing that the battle might take a while. But that knowing and remembering that God is putting us through this for a reason and that we will come out the other side stronger. Oh, excuse me. It's only human to want the test to be over and to be done with, but God uses them to shape our lives. And so I find hope when reading Isaiah 40:31 because God renews our strength as we hope and wait on him. And this is an amazing promise. When we wait on God, we actually get stronger. And so God truly renews our strength as we wait on him. So James 1:4 says, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Isaiah 40:31 says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So we are stronger than we know. And our struggles make us who we are. If I did not go through half of the things that I went through growing up, I would not be the woman standing in front of you today. And I don't know how many times I've had to say that. I don't know how many times I've said it, but all I know is that it took me a long time to realize that. Like, I always knew that the things that I went through helped shape me, but seeing where I am now and knowing the things that I know now, I definitely would not be the same woman if my life was different in the past. And if I didn't have certain trials and tribulations, I probably wouldn't be as strong or patient as I come across. And at least to myself, like I, in a non-cocky sense, like I will say, I am a strong person. And that is something that even saying still feels funny to me. And I don't know how to fully believe it. I believe it like 80%, but I'm getting there. But I've gone through a lot and I have overcome a lot. And that is what I feel like makes me a strong person. That there were many times where I could have given up and I didn't. And many times where I shouldn't have fought, but I did. So, that being said, God wants us to be the best version of ourselves. And to do that, we must go through those trials that are put in front of us. The Lord is ultimately involved in our pain and struggles, and his grace is sufficient for us as he strengthens us in those difficult times. So whether it's a business failure, whether it's, a lack of income, whether it's family calamity, whether it's relationship breakdowns or crisis of faith, these mountains can make us feel faint. But don't despair because the grace of God is sufficient to carry us through these trials. So when David wrote Psalms 27, he was clear in a desperate situation, and yet he knew that God is his strength and patiently waited for him. So the last verse I'm going to leave you off with is Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is a confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So we may not be able to see God's full plan, but we have to trust what we can't see, and trust that God knows greater. God knows more, and God has a better plan for our life than we could ever plan for ourselves. So just be patient, because your time is coming. Your blessings are coming. Just trust in the Lord and trust that He's got you. Have a wonderful week and have a blessed Sunday. Bye, y'all.